What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the comeback video of our YouTube channel, We the Peoples. It has been a crazy long time since I made a video, and I'm sorry for that. Life's been crazy, and I haven't made the time to do it and make a video, but this is the first of hopefully consistently every week or every other week. But the reason I didn't make videos for so long is because Mark and Abby got married last year in February, and we worked on them an apartment upstairs in the house. So they live upstairs in that house. They have a super nice apartment up there. And then me and Adriel got married October of last year, and we had to build an apartment. On the other side of these gray walls is our house. So the whole underneath the loft area is our house, and we've been living in there. So we've been married 6 months now, and I finally got back the motivation to start making videos again. So anyways, today we're gonna be working on, well, actually we already worked on it, but that truck right, the second gen on the other side of my truck. I made this intro yesterday before we worked on the truck. When I went to edit the video, the GoPro video had no audio, so I'm having to redo this after the fact. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoy the video. We're going to be changing the injectors in the video. In real life, we've already done it. So hopefully this will be the first of many, many more videos to come, and we hope y'all will just continue to support us and watch our videos, and we're just going to try and make them better and better. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. All right. Hey, what? All right, this video is, I'm going to throw in some 14 Pro video in this too. We're using the GoPro, and we're using my new 14 Pro iPhone, so we're going to see how it turns out. All right, first things first, we're going to take all the bolts out of the intake horn, take it loose here, get the intake horn out of our way, take the throttle position, sensor, bracketry, all this crap loose, set it over there, and valve cover, then hoses. All right, we got the bolts out of the throttle position sensor, and there's a wire down here that goes to it that we need to disconnect. It's just a connector right there. Just push that tab, pull it out. That way we can swing this to the side like that. And one more thing, disconnect your negative battery cables first. I haven't done that, but I'm about to do that. Do that first. Next thing is take the valve cover off, which is just 15mm bolts. So we're going to pull that off, and then we'll take the lines off. Alright, we got this engine mount bracket, or the engine hoist bracket from back there. You have to take it out to get to your last fuel injector line. We've got us a 3/4 line wrench. That's gonna take all these loose. We're gonna take all 6 loose from the engine, and then we're gonna take this wire connector off the injection pump and take all the lines loose from that. And I already took all these mount bolts out so that we can pull all these fuel lines off, so that we can take the feed tubes out. The fuel injector lines loose from the engine and from the injector pump. Next, these feed tubes right here, they go through the head and into the side of the injectors. So before we go to take the injectors out, I take this little pry bar and just catch it and pull it out just a little bit. Just like that. Just like that. You can take a pair of pliers too and grip it whichever way you like better. This works good for me. All right, we've got all the feed tubes pried out just a little bit, and these are your hold down plates for your injectors, and you'll see 2 bolts in them, but only this bolt has to come out. The inside one does not come out, so leave it there. So we're just going to take this. They're not very tight because they're really small bolts, so they're not that tight. That bolt right there, set it off to the side where it won't fall down in your engine, because that's a bad day. Now take and lift this plate off. See, it's got this groove that just goes up under that bolt, so that's why you only take this bolt loose. Set that to the side, and if you take one of your bolts, these are one of the bolts that held the intake horn on, take that bolt, screw it right into the top of the injector, and pull it out. And if it's a little tough, take your little pry bar and just pry it out, just like that. And there's one of our injectors, and on all of them, you want to make sure you have the copper washer on it. If that copper washer does not come out with the injector, it's still in there, and if it's still in there, you need to get it out, or your new injectors will not seal properly. So here's one injector out. We'll do that same thing for all of them, and we'll come back when we start putting them in. Alright, we've got all the old injectors out. Cody's up here with the new ones. They're laying over here. And all of our copper washers came out. And if you do this, make sure when you pull your old injectors out that copper washer comes off with it. If it doesn't, you'll need to take a pick and pick those things out of the injector hole, or your new injectors will not seal properly, and then you'll have some issues. So always make sure your copper washers come out. So here's our new injectors. They look fine. And I have never even put injectors in one of these before. I've put injectors in my 2006 24 valve, and I've did it in another 2006 truck. But that's the only injectors I've ever done on a 24 valve Cummins. So gonna go back in with these new ones, and this hole right here lines up with your feed tubes. We're gonna start on cylinder 2, and oh, that's poopy. All right, I just found an issue. Stick that on there. These copper washers fall off pretty easily, so that's pretty crappy. I know the power-driven diesel ones don't fall off because they have little keepers on them. So that's one thing I would say power-driven diesel does better. All right, but a way to line this hole up with your feed tube goes in at an angle. If you take this groove right here, the groove across the top of your injector, if you line it up with your bolts, point it at your bolts like a straight line across there, line that up with it, and this thing will be right in the general vicinity of that tube. Here's our solution for that copper ring that won't come off. Take a small dab of grease and put on that washer like Cody's doing. Just a little bit. Just enough to make it sticky.
I'm playing around here.
Put that washer on there. And that grease should hold it upside down. And Cody, see if it falls off. Nope. So now that thing's stuck on there so we won't lose it. Put some oil, just get some oil off the top of these rocker arms and get that O-ring nice and wet. so it'll slide down in there without tearing the O-ring up. Alright, he's got the hole lined up, and he's going to make that groove line up with the bolt holes. And he's going to push it down in there.
Dang. Is it in?
Nope, it's not. Alright, we're just going to take that same bolt, screw it into the top of the injector, and just give it a few love taps. Get it down in there. There we go. That new O-ring's just so fat, it's really tight fit. Alright, Cody's going to go back in there with this, and this will get it lined up pretty much perfect.
And it is perfect.
Alright, we've got all the injectors put back in, and we have the hold down brackets loosely, just hand snug. We push all these in as far as our fingers could push them, just like that. We need to pop them all in like that. You hear that click? We need to pop them all in like that, where they look like that. Just like that. There we go. They're all popped in. Now we'll take the injector lines, put them back on, and we'll tighten them up a little bit, snug these down a little bit, go back and forth until they're nice and tight. These do not get super tight. These just need to be snug because they're really small bolts and they'll break off easily. Alright, we've got the back three lines hand tight. Now we'll take our line wrench, put it on the injector line, snug it a little bit, snug this a little bit, snug that a little bit, snug this a little bit, snug that a little bit. Just kind of work them together. That way that pipe goes and seals, that way the feed tube itself seals really nicely with the injector line. And like I said, this bolt right here, not super tight, just because they're really small bolts and they can break easy. Now these go fairly tight. These are going to go for about 40 foot-pounds. Obviously not a torque wrench, but these just need to be nice and snug. And these need to be snug as well, but not too snug where you break that bolt off. Just like that, and we'll do it the same way on all 6 of them. I've got the valve cover put back on. I got all our injector lines put in place. This gasket broke right there when I was pulling it off. O'Reilly's will have one in the morning, so we won't be able to hear this thing run until tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the throttle position sensor back on. Don't forget to hook the wire back up to it. Where'd the wire go? Don't forget to hook this wire back up to it. Put the 3 bolts back in it, and then tomorrow I'll be able to put that new gasket on, and we're going to be able to loosen these injector lines up, loosen probably just 3 or 4 of them up, and the ones we can get to, bleed it, tighten them back up, and fire it up. So we will be back tomorrow.
What?
What are you doing?
Checking the roll.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're back the next day. Yesterday we got all the injectors put in, and our gasket for the intake horn, this one broke when we pulled it apart. So I got one ordered from O'Reilly's last night. It come in this morning. New gasket. Goes right there this way. But if you do this and you take your intake horn off, if your gasket gets torn up, make sure you replace it. That way you don't have any boost leaks. Cody got the oil changed last night. The customer wanted the oil changed too, so Cody worked on that. I'm going to get this intake horn put back on, and then we'll be able to bleed the injectors, and I'll show y'all how to do that.
Perfect.
All right, we got our horn back on, and now we're gonna bleed the injectors. So the front 4 cylinders, we're just gonna pop those loose. And you can loosen them now because that feed tube earlier when we tightened them up with the injectors, it got the feed tube lined up to the injector. So now we can loosen them.
Regular wrench
to
if
get
it'll even fit.
those loosened. Don't worry about that one. Just go
Alright.
for the next 3. If we can get fuel in some of them, it'll run. You don't have to get all of them bled.
Nothing. Tell him what you done.
I'm an idiot, and I forgot to tighten up the 3 injector lines that we loosened off. They're not even, I didn't even screw them onto the injection pump. What an idiot. All right, I'll be back momentarily. All right, I fixed my mistake. When you do this, make sure you tighten those lines up. Do as I say, not as I do. So now, we should be able to turn it over and get fuel coming out. All right, we're gonna tighten the lines back up and see what she'll do. All right, we're slowly getting it. We got 3 of the injectors bled. The others are hard to get to. Should work itself out. There it goes, there it goes. Here's our boost pressure right here, boost volts, and this is our throttle position sensor. I'm thinking it could be an issue, so that's why I have it pulled up. So we're just gonna go ease it down the road and see how it does. All right, we're gonna ease this thing down the road. I don't really know how powerful it was before. I have driven the truck before, but I wasn't gonna bother to drive it before we put injectors in it. Tuning wise, I don't have a clue if this thing's tuned or not. I really have no idea. I don't know if he's got a tuner in here or not. I'm running off the road. See he's going. Nope. I don't know if this thing's tuned. It may not be. I know I had a module up under there that plugged into the injection pump. It plugged into the injection pump and then plugged into your original wiring harness for the injection pump. And when I first got this truck, or when he brought it, I looked at the scanner and it had a ECM, no communication with the fuel injector pump, and it was active. So I unplugged that module thing and just plugged the factory harness right back in, and that code hasn't came back. And that could have been why he was having power loss, because he said like he could be driving down the road and then it would just like act like it shut off, but the engine would be idling. And we got some packages in front of the gate. What kind of boost we got? Got 10 PSI and easing around.
Can't even see it.
Almost hit a buzzer. Alright, we're gonna do a moderate takeoff and just see how it does getting up to highway speeds. No smoke. I don't see a bit of smoke. 1100 degrees, 1150 degrees EGTs. We're at 60. Oh, let's see, we're locked up now. don't think this truck is tuned at all. These EGTs are insane. Let's see, we're just easing up a hill, about 1,600 RPMs at 55 miles an hour. EGTs are climbing. We're up to 900 degrees, just easing up a hill, no load. I don't know what it was before. I should have done a before video, but I didn't really want to go drive it and then work on it, because then it would have been hot and I was in a hurry. So we're locked up, full throttle. Nope. That transmission doesn't grip crap. Alright, we're gonna do another pull. We're right now at 55. We're just gonna not give it enough gas to downshift, but just with the torque converter locked up, see what it does. That right there is about as much throttle as I can give it. We're slowly getting there. It's nothing insane at all. And like I said, these EGTs are insane. Let's see what they are just cruising at 55 on flat ground. Alright, we're cruising at 55 on flat ground. About 1,600 RPMs. About 600 degrees of exhaust temp. Easing up this hill, it builds up. We got it to 770. Alright, well that concludes our test drive on this truck. I think the EGTs are higher than, well, they're higher than I would like them to be. This truck only has 155,000 miles, which is pretty insane for a 99 model.
So those in the seat.
There, got some packages. Amazon! Got some packages. Trans temp. This truck needs a good tuner. I've seen a lot of people use the Quadzillas on these things. On the second gen 24 valve Cummins, and I think those are some pretty good tuners, which I think they're like a tuner slash module, or just a module that's tunable. I'm not sure exactly how they work, but I think those are really good. I bet he comes back in the next 2 or 3 months and says he wants a bigger turbo put in this thing, because this thing was only building 20 pounds of boost with the torque converter locked up and giving it as much gas as we could without it downshifting. So I bet you a tune or a good programmer or module is in the near future for him, and also a bigger turbo and maybe an intercooler to get those EGTs lower. So anyways, that is the end of this video. That is how you put injectors in a 24 valve Cummins. And so far I'm not impressed with them, but I think they just need some extra accessories to go with them. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If y'all did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Yeah, that's the end of this video, and we'll see y'all next time.